All right, today we are diving into one of the boldest, most mind-bending new ideas in all of science. It's a theory that tries to connect the deepest mystery of your own mind with the fundamental fabric of the cosmos itself. This is the Sentience-Field Hypothesis. And honestly, it might just change the way you look at, well, everything.
First, just look at this number. 1 in 109,649. Let that sink in for a second.
So, what does that number mean? Well, according to a massive computer simulation, those are the odds that any randomly generated universe would end up as perfectly tuned for life and consciousness as ours is. I mean, the chances are just staggering. And that brings us to the core question, right? Are we just living in a cosmic lottery winner, an unbelievable statistical fluke? Or does this incredible fine-tuning point to something much, much deeper about how reality actually works? Now, an idea this radical doesn't just come out of thin air. It comes about because our current science, as amazing as it is, has slammed into a wall trying to answer two of the biggest questions we could possibly ask. First up is the hard problem of consciousness. You see, physics can explain the mechanics of your brain, the neurons firing the chemistry, but it has absolutely no explanation for why it feels like something to be you. That inner world, the redness of red, the feeling of awe, that's what philosophers call qualia. And then there's the fine-tuning problem. The basic numbers that run our universe, like the strength of gravity, are dialed in with ridiculous precision. If you tweak them even a tiny, tiny bit, there'd be no stars, no planets, no us. This is where the Sentence-Field Hypothesis, or SFH for short, just flips the whole script. It says, what if we have it completely backward? What if consciousness isn't some weird fluke that emerges from complex matter? What if subjective experience, that feeling of existence, is the fundamental stuff of reality, and the physical world we see, it's just a pattern, like ripples forming on the surface of a vast conscious ocean? Okay, so if reality is a field of sentience, what are the rules? The theory suggests it's all a cosmic balancing act between two primary forces. Think of it like a cosmic tug-of-war. On one side, you've got coherence. This is the force for order, for stability, for structure. It's the glue holding everything together. But pulling on the other side is fertility. This is the drive for novelty, for complexity, for creativity. It's what pushes reality to cook up new and more interesting things, from stars to life to, us. Our universe seems to exist in this perfect, tense balance between the two. And all of this gets boiled down into one key measurement: sentient potential. Think of it as a report card for a universe. It's a score that measures how well it balances that stability and creativity. Basically, its capacity for rich, complex experience. All right, I know what you're thinking. This sounds huge, maybe a little abstract. How on earth do you even begin to test an idea like this? Well, this is where it gets really compelling, and it all starts with that computer simulation we talked about. So the researchers basically built a multiverse in a computer. They fired up 60,000 different universes. In each one, they randomly shuffled 14 of the fundamental constants of physics, things like the speed of light or the mass of an electron. Naturally, they tossed out all the duds where atoms couldn't even form. And for every single universe that could exist, they calculated its sentient potential score. And this is what they found. Every dot here is a possible universe, mapped out by how much order and complexity it has. You can see most of them are kind of boring, clustered together. But look at that gold star. That's us. We're not just in the crowd. We are a wild outlier, way out on our own. And this chart reveals the secret sauce of the simulation. What it shows is that for a universe to get complex, to have high fertility, it first has to be stable. You see that sharp cliff? A universe has to reach a certain threshold of coherence, of stability, before the potential for complexity can just explode upwards. It's like the universe had to learn to walk before it could run. This all leads to the big punchline. Our universe sits right on what's called the Pareto frontier. Now, don't worry about the fancy name. All it really means is that our universe is on the absolute cutting edge of what's possible. For the amount of stability it has, it is squeezing out the absolute maximum amount of complexity and creativity. It's not just good at it, it's perfectly efficient. But look, a truly great scientific theory has to do more than just explain things we already see. It has to make testable predictions. And this is where the SFH gets seriously spooky. There's this magic number in physics called the fine structure constant. It pretty much governs how light and matter talk to each other. Now, we've measured this number with insane precision, but no one knows why it has that specific value. Well, using nothing but its core ideas about consciousness and coherence, the SFH theory can calculate this number from scratch. And its prediction is an almost perfect bullseye. It's shockingly accurate. And the evidence doesn't stop there. The really wild part is that new discoveries are now popping up from totally separate fields that seem to point in the exact same direction. The SFH predicts that if consciousness is a fundamental field, we should see weird, long-range connections everywhere, even in our own biology. And guess what? One study found our nerve fibers might be synchronizing faster than the speed of light using quantum entanglement. Another found that quantum effects deep inside our brain cells are directly linked to being conscious. Each of these discoveries, from neuroscience to quantum biology, is a new piece of the puzzle, suggesting the universe is way more connected than we ever imagined. So, let's take a step back. What does this all add up to? If this hypothesis holds water, the implication isn't just some small update to our science books. No, this would be a complete revolution in how we understand reality itself. The ultimate takeaway is this. Consciousness is not something that matter does. It's what matter is. The theory proposes that the most fundamental stuff of the universe isn't tiny particles or fields of energy, but a field of pure experience, a field of sentience. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. What if we've had it all wrong? What if the universe isn't some cold, dead clockwork machine that, by a 1 in 100,000 miracle, accidentally stumbled into producing life and mind? What if instead, the universe is a living, dynamic field of experience, and the physical reality we see all around us, the stars, the planets, you and me, is simply what that field looks like when it's dreaming?